party speaks on the CBI has been in a negative light. They had an opportunity to speak on CBS, Al Jazeera, the Daily Mail, the France 24, France 24, and all of those moments they used this platform to besmirch the program. All in effort to undermine the program, all in effort hoping that the program could come to an end and that the people who benefit directly from the program would no longer benefit. The reality is, my dear friends, we need $5 million every month to underwrite the operations of the NEP. Now, we all in Dominica understand and appreciate the positive economic and social impacts which the NEP has on several households across Dominica. That is entirely, has always been financed by the CBI program because it is a capital project, it's a capital program, and it's financed by the CBI. Thank God we have been able so far to continue finance it. Even during the COVID time, we paid the NEP people, even if they were not working, most of them were not working. And they're components of the CBI program because people only see the NEP workers on the beautification program. But there are people who also, under the NEP, who provide care to senior citizens, the sick and shortened, and people with disabilities. There are also NEP people who work in the private sector. There are several small businesses across Dominica who rely on the support from the CBI to underwrite portions of the expenditure. And that has been able to help them, carry them through to sustain the investments until they graduate out of the CBI program. And there are many who are engaged in the public sector, gaining skills, and many of them have graduated and moved into the establishment of the public service, even in the private sector, or government entities. Most of them have gotten permanent jobs at the Aid Bank, at the Social Security, and other entities because of their diligence, the work experience that they have gotten, and they're doing well. And the majority of the housing financing is come from the CBI. The hotels that we built that are now providing employment for people, that has now improved the number of marketable rooms that we have in Dominica, which now, this is the reason why, this is part of the reason why there is a case to be made for United to fly into Dominica. This was the reason why there was a case for American to fly into Dominica. This is a case why Caribbean Airlines has been having a flight from United States via Port of Spain, Dominica, Port of Spain, United States, because there are rooms for people to come into. And this is why we're committed to doing more rooms, because there is an increased demand and we have to ensure that we have more rooms to create jobs, sustainable jobs for our people. And of course, the other infrastructure work that we have done in Dominica. And all of these things are being financed by the CBI. The marina is being financed by the CBI. The international airport is being financed by the CBI. Those projects are going to have a sustained long-term positive impact on the lives of the country, of the citizens of the country, and of course, the economy of Dominica. Now, let us not kid ourselves, and the opposition will want to say, no, that's what they want to do. They, in our view, and in view of many independent arbiters, their intention is to stop the program. Because they believe that if the program gets stopped, there's no more source of revenue for the government, then that would maybe precipitate the government this party getting out of government. As simple as that. Simple as that. Nobody knows how the court is going to react. The court may say, well, let us have a stay of operations of the program until the case is heard. And we cannot, this should never form part of politics in Dominica. We can question things, question operations, question how things are done, but to collude with external actors who do not know how the person in Botica or the person in Penville or the person in Scottsdale or Capuchin or the Canago territory is having what he's having for breakfast today. And people are colluding with these people, some of whom have never been to Dominica, and who couldn't care hell whether Dominica exists or doesn't exist, and there are Dominicans who are partnering with these people to undermine the opportunities of every single Dominican. This isn't about me. And people must never make this thing about me. This is about the country. When the Labour Party was in opposition, we never engaged ourselves in those kind of practices. Rosie would come and inform Eugenia Charles of the situation confronted by our industry. And they'll go to the British parliamentarians who were Labour Party parliamentarians and to get them to ask questions in the parliament on Dominica's behalf. But it cannot be right that this is politics. This is not politics. This is an attack on the country. It is an attack on the way of life and the livelihoods of Dominicans. That the Yes We Care program, which is a program that is providing home care to senior citizens, many of whom who have helped build this country or the foundations on this country, but who for one reason or the other did not meet sufficient Social Security or Provident Fund contributions and find themselves in a situation they either live alone or unable to pay for someone to care for themselves. And the government has this program that we send people to clean their homes. And so this is what it is. We'll continue to work with our regional international partners. We have a transparent, and also say that it is only when we came into government that people started talking about CBI, you know. The only thing people knew about CBI from 1993 was the Greystone Larry project. Nobody in Dominica could tell us or show us from 1993 to 2000, what CBI did for us in Dominica. Nobody could show that to us. Nobody can show us what CBI money did for us from 1993 when it was established, March of 1993, to 2000. But you go across Dominica, and the society is dotted with interventions of the CBI. And I dare say with no fear of contradiction, every single household in Dominica has been touched by the CBI since the government came to office. Everyone. Whether it is sending somebody overseas for medical care, or Yes We Care, or somebody's employed, somebody went to study, we have touched, or housing repairs, been touched by the CBI program. Because we always maintain that this money has to be spent to improve the way of life of people. And this, the only time these monies have been reported to the parliament is when we came to government, where you find it in the estimates of expenditure, revenues and expenditure in the government. And if you go to the estimates, you will see a separate line, revenues from CBI. And if you go to the capital estimates, you will see where it speaks to the projects that have been financed by the CBI in the estimates. So the reality is, if these guys were to be successful at their court action, all of those things will come to a halt. The international airport will come to a halt, the cable car will come to a halt, and this is not fear-mongering, this is a fact. Because if a tap is running and you close it, what happens? Water stops flowing. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. And all of this things come to an end. And just to tell you, some people have this notion that the CBI is, you have money in the Middle East and people just go and pick it up on the sand and put in a bag or a suitcase and bring it back. Look at the marina, for example, or the cable car or the international airport. Range, who is doing the marina, for example, are not waiting to process applications to start the project. They've gone ahead and contracted a loan of $25 million to start the project. Likewise, the cable car. They have not sold a fraction of the allocations they've given to us, but the project is 75% complete. The international airport, from the moment they signed, they started. They're advancing the monies. This is how these things operate. And so, it is unfortunate that this is the action that they're taking. We're not surprised. We're not surprised at that. And we will continue to do what we have to do. on the legal issues, I leave it to the Attorney General, who is the government's principal legal advisor, to defend the state's interests in this matter. So I won't go into legal issues or the details of the case. The Attorney General I will assign, has been, of course, constitutionally is assigned to deal with such matters of any legal challenge to the government. But we will be as transparent as I've always been in the defense of the patrimony of this country and in defense of the Citizens by Investment Program, and ensuring that this program continues to reign to benefit the citizens of Dominica. I will end here and allow questions to be asked of me on this or any other matter the press wishes to ask questions. Thank you.
Honorable Prime Minister, for your remarks. As you heard from the Prime Minister, we welcome follow-up questions on this matter, the CBI matter, and others. Carlisle?
Carlisle John Baptist, Child News. PM will stay with CBI for a little while. There seems to be some issues as it relates to the drawing down of funds. I know the various projects seem to be on a go-slow. What is the latest developments as it relates to that in terms of the drawing down of funds with the CBI?
All projects are ongoing. As the marina started, and they're going to go full force. There was an issue of a site to temporarily dump of the waste that has been addressed. The cable car work is ongoing. They have 211 Dominicans working on site. The International Labour Project is going on site. The work is ongoing. We have over 300 Dominican citizens employed there. right, you will see in the estimates of revenues and expenditure, very transparently, the reporting. On top of that, we've had numerous occasions in the public domain to respond to issues of accountability and transparency. The issue of transparency, we open. This is why I invited, for example, the Americans, the Treasury Department, to come to Dominica when they were raising issues with us. I said, come to Dominica. Look, you come yourself, ask questions to anyone you have. They did that. Following that visit to Dominica, they submitted a report that they found nothing untoward on there. But they recognized that there's something we could do to strengthen the program. And this is what made part of the 6-point program. And then they wanted us to implement. They said, look, let us have it as a regional thing. And this is how the regional grouping came about. The issue of the JRCC, where they review every single file, and the further enhancement by having the FIU more involved in the CBI processes. So the issue, how do we define accountability and how do we define transparency? And the opposition is using those words because these are fancy words to be used, but not defining those words and not defining them in relation to our program and our circumstance. So they will have the notion of money is missing, but they cannot tell you. And you would have heard, Mr. Peltier, the press conference that the opposition had when it indicated the public is going to have this case filed, that they themselves said they had no evidence of any wrongdoing. They said so. So how could you accuse somebody of something that you think is wrong when you do not have evidence of they haven't done anything wrong? You get me? Well,
are you concerned that given where the lawyers are going, that you might have to disclose a lot more than is being said?
Everything that has to be disclosed has been disclosed to Parliament and will be disclosed anywhere in the world. There's nothing for this government to hide. Absolutely nothing. So I am not concerned about having to disclose anything. My concern, because the court is an independent entity, my concern is that there could be a strong possibility that there might be a stay on the program. I don't know. And the point is, what if there's a stay on the program? What are the implications of the stay on the program? So I'm not here questioning accountability and transparency questions. No. I am questioning the motivation of the opposition on the relentless attack. Because every question they have asked, we've responded to, but they're not satisfied with the response that we're giving. And so, if you are genuine about the program, then you should be comprehensive with your critic of it. So, okay, well, the project is good. It's a SRK program, and yes, I went to Parliament, I saw it, this and this, but there's still some questions. That's fine with me. That approach is okay with me. But you cannot, every time you get opportunity, and you also volunteer opportunities. As we saw Al Jazeera, and when Al Jazeera came, all fairness to them, they were more transparent and they're more independent than the others who came in. When they saw other things, they reported them. When they said that the investigation took a very interesting turn. So we'll go to court and we'll provide the evidence, we'll defend the country. But when you're talking about accountability and transparency, there is no time in the history of this program that this program has been more accountable and more transparent than it is now under this government. And the facts are there in an undisputed manner. So we're not questioning, anybody can ask questions. We love when people ask questions about this. We give us an opportunity to respond and to explain. But the reality is, all of the responses that we're given, all of the explanations we're given, the opposition refused to accept it. But they do so privately, though. They do so privately, though, but not publicly. And Mr. Linton himself would have said that Dominica Dominica has a very transparent program and legitimate program That was the time then when he made the application to become an agent with a Taiwanese lady. He made an application to be an agent in partnership with a Taiwanese lady. Yeah.
To explain. One more question, sir, in that regard. Sir, you said at the last news conference, I questioned you, and you said you admitted that the contractors are having difficulty, following up with Carlisle, in bringing the CBI funds into the country because local banks had concerns about being de-risked by the correspondent banks. You went to St. Lucia and said something totally different. Explain, tell me what the truth is.
You guys were saying, if your foreign mercenaries were saying, that we lost correspondent bank in Bank of America, which is not true. Now, if you get a check from the government today, yeah, this, and many people find it to be silly, but that is the reality. I find it to be silly a bit too, if you were to ask me. We give you a check of $11,000. Our accounts, that's the government accounts, is at the National Bank. It's a National Bank check. And usually when they get a check, they stop tell you what the money is for. You have to fill out a declaration. Source of funds declaration. When you get, as a member of parliament, your gratuity. So I get a check from the parliament for my gratuity after the 5-year term. The ladies from the bank would bring me a form out to fill, a source of funds declaration. I said, my friend, but you look in parliament, look at the states there, gratuity from parliament and so on. But I have to find, we're required to fill it out. And I comply. And everybody who provides service to the government. So if you have monies coming in to the banks require certain questions to be asked and certain information to be provided. There's nothing unusual about that. And that's what I was saying. That's the point I was saying. The government itself, when the government gets money from whoever it gets money from, they have to file. They have to file. You understand? So you have to submit documents, source of fund documents. So it's not an unusual practice. That's the point I was making at the time, but it was interpreted in a particular way. Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Situation of the visas, to get to the United Kingdom. What is the latest update? I think you said you had met with some officials. So can you give us an update as to where we are, please, on that? And also, some time ago, I think you said in terms of you wanting to hand over leadership of the Labour Party, I think you said something about 2026. What's the latest update also on that?
I'll take the first question first. In regards to the UK and the visa issue, we continue to engage the United Kingdom. We had meetings with them while in Grenada. The permanent secretary, Mr. Henderson, and the head of the unit had meetings with them on a technical level. We continue to engage them on a political level. As a matter of fact, I'm having a meeting in Samoa, a side meeting with the foreign secretary, the UK foreign secretary, who was reached out to me, and there's a matter that we'll raise with them there. And I believe that eventually we're confident that that the visa waiver agreements that we had with the United Kingdom will be reinstated. We're very confident in that. We always maintain that we felt that the decision was a bit premature, taking into consideration the discussion we were having at the time. But they took a decision that they felt was in their interest to do, and we don't chastise them for that. But we continue to discuss with them. We maintain excellent relations with the United Kingdom. You saw we signed the contract for the road. We broke ground for the road from Lubia to Bakatel a couple of weeks ago, and a number of other areas that we're collaborating with the United Kingdom. So we have excellent relations with them, and so we'll continue to dialogue with them with a view to allay any concerns which they may have and to have their visas reinstated with the United Kingdom. But that notwithstanding, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you have seen signed visa-free to several countries in the last few months. So our visa-free access to countries continue to increase. Bilateral visa-free arrangements continue to increase with many countries across the world. But the UK visa-free is important to us, and we'll continue to pursue it with great vigor and determination, with a view for having it reinstated. And we're very confident eventually it will be. The issue of the party leadership, well, you asked me this question, so the party has two very important events coming up. One is on October 12th, and that will be held in Salibia, in the Salibia constituency, at the Salibia Primary School, as a National Council meeting, which is a precursor to the Delegates Conference. And the Delegates Conference will be held in Vickers on November 10. It will be held in Vickers November 10. And at that Delegates Conference, all positions within the party are open for those who will be interested in contesting those positions. So from the political leadership to all of the positions within the party are open for contest. So we'll see what happens in Vegas on November 10.
CBI is my pet peeve this morning. I remember a couple of years ago, sir.
You got a new question?
No. Hold on. You said on the platform there, I think it was St. Joseph, I have to be more precise.
Can that person take my number so you can send me the questions directly? No? Well, go ahead.
You would embarrass Mr. Linton with the CBI numbers. Up to this date, you have not provided that kind of information from your financial secretary or your technocrats in the office. Why not?
You guys, you guys are trying to catch wind or something. I mean, the numbers are reported to the Parliament every single year. How much we raise, what it was spent for, how much we have left. The Minister of Finance reports that to Parliament every single year. It is there. It is there for anybody in the world can have access to it, including those of us who live in Dominica. So why you guys want to bring all kinds of things? You've filed a case. You say you have no evidence. So why are you talking about me? About what I said on a political platform, which I can't remember. And when I look at, I have an opportunity to read some of what has been filed in the court. I'll leave it to the teenager. But Dominicans should really go and read this thing. Dominicans should really go and read, get a copy of what these guys are filing in this court, and that's seriously, Matt. Have you read it? No, but Matt, have you read it? No?
It's a public document, so I can get access to it. That's okay. But I'm asking you, sir, are you confident with that case going forward? Really, CBI?
Of course I'm confident. We have nothing to hide, nothing to worry about. My concern, I've said, Matt, is that we don't know what the court is an independent adjudicator. The court could say, well, let us put a stay on the program until the case is heard. You have things like that happening. And my point is, if that were to happen, the implications for all of the projects and programs are being financed by the CBI. That's my point. That's the point I'm making. And we all will accept, including the supporters of the Workers' Party will accept, that these guys have gone too far in their anti-government campaign and in their efforts to undermine the survivability of this country. At a time when you have a raging war in Russia and Ukraine that is affecting every economy, at a time when Israel is going all the way into Lebanon and creating destabilizing the world, and everybody's concerned about the implications for everything else. At a time when the issue of climate change and finance for climate change that we continue to fight for. And we have seen an increase in the cost of living and the cost of goods on the shelf in every single country in the world. Every government is battling, how do we stabilize the prices on the shelves to allow people to have greater access to them? Every country in the world, the G7, far more for developing countries like ours. Every single country is battling this. How do we continue to invest to sustain jobs and job security for citizens? And instead of you articulating a vision for this country, what you're going to do, what are the projects that you're going to be doing, the programs you're going to be doing to create jobs and to reduce poverty and these things. And the question mark is, senior councils are not cheap. Well, except Tony Esteban, because he works for us and he charges less than what senior council will normally charge. But senior councils are not cheap. Where is Linton getting the money and Thompson Funk get the money to pay senior counsel? Who is paying the senior counsel? Who is paying the team of lawyers on the side to fight Dominica? Who? Which people? Which people? Which people? But you know that's a mirage. You know that's a mirage. Who is financing them? Are these people who like to see our program come to an end so that they can benefit in other places? Who is financing them? These guys have declared war on the country. War on the country. This is really reflective of the days when the Ku Klux Klan were on the way to Dominica. Foreign mercenaries that Dominicans are colluding with. Well, not Dominicans, a couple of Dominicans, to undermine the country and the opportunities of Dominica. Because you know what? Thompson Fountain's salary is paid in South Sudan. So if something happens to Dominica, he's not going to be affected. And Mr. Linton's only known source of income is his gratuity pension from the parliament. And that can't be touched by government because it's protected by law. He must get it. So we can cut people's salary, or we can't cut people's pension. These are the two proponents, the two generals of the anti-Dominica army, financed by external mercenaries. And part of the strategy team, external mercenaries. That's that, and Matt, we can't, this is not politics. You know that. Yeah.
The cryptocurrency Tron and its associated assets have been legal tender in Dominica for some time. No, not true. Well, anyway, but can we get an update? Can we get an update? If you say that, can we get an update on what benefits have been derived from it thus far?
Look, we were. No, go ahead. Okay. Right, sorry.
The opposition leader in St. Lucia gave you, on some political platform, gave you a few knocks. He seemed to be angry at you going on a show. How do you respond to that attack by the opposition leader in St. Lucia? Then we've been also asking PM for a while, what is the update on that lighting system at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium? Every time we have to be asking that. And there seemed to be another issue coming up. Theala Forgatson, funds I see, talk being raised. Well, talk being raised as to what she may have gotten and so on and so forth. Can you tell us if it is true, not true, untrue, half true, please?
Legally, the only entity that is mandated with authority to declare what is legal tender in Dominica is the Monetary Council of the Central Bank. So the issue of cryptocurrency being the legal tender in Dominica is not the case. Obviously, this is a phenomenon that is throughout the world. And I believe that the Caribbean, in my view, the Caribbean is not positioning itself to take advantage of the potential benefits that is happening. If you go to all of these G7 countries, all of these G20 countries, they're all engaging in some form of cryptocurrency. Their banks are involved in it. But you know these things, for small countries like ours, they never will allow us to get involved in it because they have to monopolize it. And I think that is a discussion that we need to have in the Caribbean, that young people need to have. and of course the issue of regulations and so on. Then let us put the regulation in place. But it's something I believe that we need to really seriously look at in the Caribbean and to see how we can prepare ourselves or position ourselves to take advantage. I must commend the government of the Bahamas, who have been at the forefront of this, having passed legislation on this, and so they're really forward thinking on this. But in our smaller countries, we saw everything, so. But I believe that we really need to look at this very seriously, and so forth. Obviously, the issue of KYC, know your clients, and so forth, know your customer, and so on. But all of those things can be put in place. Before money, what we had a bartering system. We brought money in, and then we brought systems in place to properly regulate and monitor and so forth. 20 years ago, you could bring any amount of cash to any bank in the world and no questions asked. Since 9/11, if you bring $5 in a bank to anywhere in the world, questions will be asked of you. So the times are changing, and I think we ourselves in societies, in the countries, must also adapt to the realities. And the reality is cryptocurrency is here to stay. And more governments, there are many governments across the world who are heavily involved in cryptocurrency as part of their legitimate processes and so forth. And I think that's something we need to look at. The issue of the what is the opposition? What about the opposition leader? St. Lucia. Oh, well, I mean, I've been around the Caribbean for a pretty long time. And I have never been in the business of shouting across the Caribbean Sea. And I don't intend to start. The reality is, people like to say what they want. The moment scary speak, everybody get a little, they'll go jab at the fellas feel it hard. I'm not gonna respond. There's so many important things to do, my brother.
Are you saying you respond to the political process?
No, I know. I'm not gonna. To what benefit? I mean, remember, if I have 5 minutes to talk to 5 Dominicans about their life, is somebody I'm gonna respond to? I mean, so when I saw somebody send me the video, I just said "choops" and I moved on. So that's my response. Yeah, "choops," with an exclamation mark. You can put 2 if you want. With regards to the Windsor Park, I think it's just the Ministry of Sports to finalize. I think the details have been finalized. I think we should just move ahead with this thing. And so I spoke to the Minister of Sports, Honorable George, a few weeks ago, and they have to move ahead. So I see the PS taking note, PS, OPM, so we need to follow up on this and to provide support to the Ministry of Sports in it. But this is a priority project for us, and we need to push on that, and because there's so many huge benefits in there. So so it's left to the ministry to advance this. The matter of Thea Gatson and so on, we have to be careful that we don't allow negativity to cloud the extraordinary success of this young lady. Let us have a sense of national pride and wrap the young lady's success with the national flag, and let us not get into gossip and rumors and innuendos and what did she get a $20,000 check and an IOU for the rest and all these things, and whatever promises, whatever offer we made to Mrs. Gatson, those will be fully honored by the government. Fully honored by the government. And if the government doesn't have the money, then we'll sell a piece of land to pay for it and so on. So the issue of pay, the $400,000, she got the $200,000 that we promised to her. She got it in quick time, and she'll get the $400,000. The title being processed. Has to go for the president. And I'm hoping that by the time she comes here for independence, that she'll have a title for the land in Warner. And then by when she comes down for independence, the president will provide her with credentials appointing as ambassador, and of course there'll be a little ceremony in the president's office for that. So let us not let young people feel that success in Dominica will always be marred with negativity. So my simple response to that is there's no truth to what being peddled on social media or through WhatsApp messages and so on. It's not fair to the young lady. This is a phenomenal achievement. This is at the pinnacle of sports in the world, and we should not try to make the government look bad by throwing cold water on the lady's performance and her success. Yeah, we'll take 2 more questions and we'll head out. Okay? Yeah.
You said the delegates conference for the Labour Party will be held in November, right? I heard you right? You also said that all positions will be open. As the Prime Minister, will you be contesting when you said you'll be leaving government in 2025, 2026?
Unless and until I leave, there shall be a leader, both a leader of the party and a prime minister. You understand? When that time comes, then there will be this. For me to, even if I say I want to contest the leadership position, one of the constituencies must nominate me. So I cannot show up in the guy and say, oh, look me. No. One of the constituencies has to nominate me, and I have to consent to sign it. So this is a matter for the party to decide, the delegates to decide on election day. I will inform the party of my position in very soon, and then the party will proceed from that. I don't think it is for me to discuss party business in the public domain before the National Council meeting. I'll report to the National Council in Salibe on the 12th of October, and I will take it from there. But I can't answer questions to you that the delegates have not asked of me.
Interested or not?
That is for the party internal stuff to deal with, and then once whatever happens, then there'll be an announcement. You'll be first to know. Oh, Carla, breaking news. Yeah, sure.
Can you tell the people of Dominica what's the costs of the lawyers from Trinidad in persecuting the opposition?
Well, I'm not sure you asked the question, persecuting. I don't know, but nobody's been persecuted in Dominica. I don't have the precise figures there, figures with me, but I will not say, I'm not aware of anybody being persecuted in Dominica. So that information the Ministry of National Security has, the Ministry of Finance has, is not something I don't pay any attention to, I don't get involved in. That is exclusively for the Attorney General's office to deal with. And contrary to what people believe, I really don't get involved in those kind of cases, honestly, I don't get involved in those cases. I don't ask questions about them. I don't, if there's a report that has been given to me, the report will be given to me, but I don't sit down and say, well, where's the case against Linton, them and the state and so on, and let me see. I don't get involved in, honestly, God my witness, I don't get involved in those things.
My final question, but you said 2 more questions. What is the state of Dominica's economy at this time? Are you happy, Mr.? Because everybody seems to be complaining that things are tough. Where are we? Where are we?
From a revenue standpoint, the revenues are doing well. The revenue is still doing well. The VAT numbers are good. The PAE is okay. The corporate income tax is maintaining its numbers as previous years. The reality is that the cost of running the country is more now than it was 2 years ago. And that's the reality of every single country in the world. If you look at the US, for example, in the last financial year, the United States went over its budget by $1.24 trillion. So they had to borrow $1.24 trillion to sustain their recurrent expenditure. The United Kingdom, that's why the United Kingdom has done a number of cuts, billions of dollars in cuts, because it has to cut in order for it to sustain the services that it's providing to citizens. And they've had to make some very tough decisions to maintain the fiscal health of the country. All governments in the Caribbean from time to time will borrow to meet the shortfall of their recurrent expenditure. Dominica is no different. And so we have a situation where the costs of running the country, because if the cost of a tin of milk goes from $1 to $2, the government has to buy that milk at $2, because the government pays VAT, the government pays import duty on all of these things like everybody else. And the government is the largest consumer of goods and services. Now, if the government's consumption drops, then it will certainly impact a number of individuals who rely on government business or government's consumption to make a higher profit or higher sales than they normally would. And so you have those issues there. Then you have the challenges where you have unforeseen expenses. So for example, we did not budget to do the extension of the runway, but it was a very important economic consideration. And so because if we did not do it, you run the risk of American Airlines say they stop coming to Dominica, and you can understand the impact on the way of life of many people. And then we will not be in a position to get United to agree to come to Dominica, to bring additional benefits to Dominica. Then just to give you an example again, we spent about $8 million to just widen the corners going up to Loda to facilitate the equipment for the geothermal project. Now, you and I know what you could do with $8 million. You understand? So between these two areas, I'm not talking about all the areas we're talking about. And of course, the damage by rain at Salisbury, where we spent over $4 million for this, and a number of other interventions that you have had to deal with, and so on. So the monies that you would have had to pay off people, some people you owe in for goods and services that they provide, you have to divert it to other areas that are crucial to the economy. And so that is the challenge you have there, where your revenue has maintained its numbers, but your expenditure has increased. And this is why we've been trying to find ways of cutting on discretionary spending so that we don't affect the social safety net programs that we have, and that we can sustain things like the NEP and others, and also be in a position that when somebody comes to us who has to be flown out of Dominica for medical care, that we're in a position to support that family in time of need, and to ensure that the students who we have studying overseas continue to study overseas, and the government continue to pay for their commitments to them and so forth, so they can achieve their dreams and aspirations of being whatever they want to be in as a result of the government's policies. So you have those challenges. Then you have the issue of increase in the expenditure for health, for example, increase in expenditure for education. That is the recurrent expenditure with more teachers and more positions in secondary schools. And of course, the new Marigat Hospital, where you have to have additional expenditure. So there are a number of areas where you have increased your expenditure, and rightly so, and your revenue is a particular area. And this is why, and you cannot now go and tax people more now than they already taxed. You understand what I'm saying? And so there's some things we're looking at from the government. The issue of the minimum wage, and this discussion we're going to be having next week with the private sector. As you know, we're going to establish a joint dialogue with the private sector, because certainly we have to do something about the minimum wage. Then the issue of income tax, I've been proposing, and I think at some point we have to bring the guillotine down on having a flat rate for income tax in Dominica, and to allow people to keep more of their money and to go the route of consumption taxes rather than direct taxes, and also looking at reviewing the corporate income tax, which is now at 25%. I'm thinking of reducing it to about 15%, but it's a conversation I'm going to have with the private sector, so that the private sector could maybe keep more of its money and reinvest and create more jobs and so forth, and also that there'll be more compliance, because at a higher rate, there's less compliance sometimes. People say they make a loss, when in fact they make a profit. But if it's 15%, they may say, okay, 15% is okay, let us pay, rather than paying at 25. And so these are kind of some of the things that we're looking at to introduce. But the reality is, cost of living, cost goes up. If energy costs, if fuel cost goes up, petroleum products go up, the government must pay for these things. And the government cannot tell the people at the hospital or the prison, well, keep a breakfast today, as you and I may do at our home. The government can't do that. The government must purchase. And so we have to be, my view, we have to be more efficient. We have to work on efficiency, and we have to manage waste. And I believe that all of the government entities need to play a greater role in terms of revenue collection. Because I'm thinking of, I don't know if I can send a letter out to the Minister of Finance and the Board of Management, because I'm looking at creating a special unit that will deal with the collection of revenues from the state outside of those that customs and inland revenue are mandated to collect. We have over the years $139 million uncollected at the traffic department for vehicle licenses and personal driver's license. At the hospital, just between 2002 and 2022 and 2024, over $7 million uncollected by way of hospital services. Now, even if you collect three out of the 7 or out of the 139, you collect 10. One can understand how many bills you could pay with $13 million. And so these are the kind of things that we have to pay attention to. There are companies, there are thousands of companies registered in Dominica, but many are not paying their annual licensing fees. And so we're looking at mandating the banks, the same way the banks ask you for all sorts of information when they want to upload and update your information, that we're going to be passing legislation to mandate the financial institutions that companies must show they have paid income tax, their taxes, and paid their business license to the government in order for it to be compliant with the banking institutions. Because people kind of only speak about the challenges and not speak about the responsibility and what is the cause of the challenges. And so each of us has a responsibility to play insofar as our contribution to the solution. So the economy is not doing badly. The economy is doing well insofar as the economic indicators. I think what we need to address is the balancing of expenditure and revenue. But maybe if I was, maybe if the government and the party was less, or maybe was not people-centered, we could balance the books easily. But I don't believe that because your expenditure increase, you have to now go and cut what people rely on for the survival. You understand? So, yes, I could cut this social program or cut this one, but to what end? Yes, on paper, it might look prettier, but in terms of the way of life for the people, I believe that we should continue to hold the strain there and ensure that those who rely on the state for the survival is taken care of. And this is our commitment. And this is why you will recognize, Matt, that none of the social safety net programs has ever been tampered with. Not after Maria, not after Erica, not during the pandemic. As a matter of fact, we strengthened the programs and the operations during those times. And this is a time for us to hold people's hands, especially with the cost of living and the cost of goods on the shelves higher than ordinary times. And of course, we know part of the contribution of that, this wars and so forth. And so we can, these are external shocks, external shocks causing an impact on us. And the world needs to be stabilized. This is why we're saying that there has to be a settled approach, a diplomatic approach to the situation between Russia and Ukraine. We cannot keep just sending military assets to both sides. We can't be seen to be prolonging the war rather than trying to find a diplomatic solution. And I have said to our friends in the G7, who we have engagements with on this matter, that we believe that we need to engage the Pope. I believe that Pope Francis has a very important role to play as an international arbiter, someone who is respected and who has a voice of reason. And I believe that the Prime Minister of India has a role to play in this. The President of China has a role to play in this. The President of Turkey will have a role to play in that. The President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada and the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and France. These countries, I believe that among them, with the rest of us in the periphery of the discussion, I think we can find a solution. If we ended World War I and World War II, and I mean, why can't we end the war between Russia and Ukraine? But it cannot be a situation where this thing continues indefinitely. It's 3 years now. And we have seen that we recovered from COVID-19. And the time that countries in the world were recovering from COVID-19, including Dominica, then here comes the Russia-Ukraine war. And from the moment that has happened, it has affected transportation. First of all, grains couldn't be exported out, which is a major base for so many items. So the supply wasn't there. And of course, when you have a supply problem, the countries that are the end users, end consumers like us, we're the most impacted because we're not producing those things. We have to import it. So we are the end users of it. And so there has to be a solution to the situation there. I understand the history that people tell me about and so forth, but the reality is that countries in the world are hurting. Every one of the countries in the world is hurting as a result of this. The strongest economies, the middle economies, they're all hurting on this, and I think there has to be some kind of settlement. But a lot depends on the G7 countries. But I believe that the Prime Minister of India, who has a good relation with both countries, and the President of China, President Xi, and the G7, have a crucial role. And if you look at the speeches, all of the speeches at the United Nations, everybody spoke to that issue. Every government spoke to that issue. Every government spoke to the issue. And every government is calling for an end because every government recognizes that this is creating a problem. Likewise, every government spoke about the Israel-Palestine and Israel-Lebanon situation because that is compounding the problem of Russia and Ukraine. You understand? Where the world is supposed to be focusing on development and economic development and social justice and job creation, and we're working to address climate change and all of the other impacts of this world, that we have to be in a room talking about wars and not even rumors of wars. And these wars have been extended, and one can only, the last thing you want is for Iran now to join this, and then that goes, the Houthis have said that they will join, and one understands that many of the container ships go through the Red Sea and the impact of this, So we just have to understand the geography and the history and the geopolitics to understand that all of those things have an impact on us, no matter where we are in the world, because the world is more connected now than it was years ago. We're no longer a situation where you take a look at a boat and go to Marigold and buy your groceries. You know what I'm saying? Everything is connected now. Everything is connected. Every country is connected, and it is a huge challenge. So the world is more difficult now than it was 5 and 10 years ago. And this is why you will find that many governments that do not have the experience to be able to navigate those challenges will have serious problems. And for us, luckily we have the experience, and also we have maintained some good friendships in different parts of the world, and of course we have the support of the Dominican people to continue to do what we have to do, and this is what we were doing, and this is why we have to work together. There will always be politics, but there has to be a red line or a blue line or yellow line that we don't cross. There's something called our national spirit or defense of our patrimony. And this is why I always refer to the United States. This is why I made the United States come from being a colony of the United Kingdom to being the world's first economy and one of the military power. Because Americans defend America. You know, you don't go out of America and speak ill of America, even if you don't support Mr. Biden or Mr. Trump. In America, they'll fight with each other, yes, but when they go out, they're Americans. And if you read the American oath of citizenship, it says that they shall bear arms, pick up arms in defense of the country. And so this is the kind of spirit. Let us beat ourselves up, but we should never beat the country up. We should never try to take away bread from people's mouth if we can't get them biscuit. And this is what the opposition trying to do in Dominica. And in their attitude, they don't care. They don't care. And the reality is, I really thought that Dr. Fountain, would have been different. And the rest, but I'm not usually wrong on many things, but on this one I'm wrong. Thank you very much for your questions. Let us continue to do what you have to do. Let us work together. For our country, we will always agree, but we can't appear to always disagree. God bless our country. Thank you.
Yes, we have come to an end. Thank you, Prime Minister. A lot to chew on. Kalai, I look forward to your stories. Matt, likewise. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a pleasant day and a good week. Thank you.